Lord of the Plains. That's me.
Alrighty, next up is a movie trailer. When I first watched it, it actually got me in the feels. I think this next movie, a lot of people are going to be able to relate to, especially whenever they were young. It's If, directed by John Krasinski, who is Jim from The Office, who also did A Quiet Place, a few other movies. But he's actually going to star and direct in this. A young girl who goes through a difficult experience begins to see everyone's imaginary friends who have been left behind for their real-life friends have grown up. I think it's going to be a really interesting movie. It's going to be one of those movies you can take your kids to, but also reminisce about, whenever you had imaginary friends. I think it's just a fun concept, and the CGI looks great interacting with the humans. You're going to have a huge voice cast. You got Ryan Reynolds in there, Steve Carell, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, and many others. So I think it's going to be one that we should also see, but also enjoy seeing with family and friends and our kids. The next one is from the great mind of George Miller. It is Furiosa, a Mad Max story. This is going to be the origin story of renegade warrior Furiosa, who is being portrayed by Anya Taylor-Joy before her encounter and team up with Mad Max. Not too much I want to say about this. It's just going to be a great action piece. It'll be interesting to see how they portray her as the younger self versus how we've seen her in the actual Mad Max movies. You got Chris Hemsworth, who, honestly, when I first watched the trailer, I didn't even recognize. So I'm going to be very interested to see how they craft him as a villain. This next one I'm very excited about. The trailer looked absolutely jaw-dropping from the set pieces and CGI. You got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It's directed by Wes Ball, who did the Maze Runner series, which honestly, this is my only concern with the film, is the director's not that well known, and he's been given some pretty bad scripts to direct, so hopefully he can turn it around. But this is about 300 years after the last movie, which was War for the Planet of the Apes from Caesar's time. But yeah, many years after the reign of Caesar, a young ape goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything he's been taught about the past and make choices that will determine a future for apes and humans alike. Not really a lot of known people in the movie. You got William H. Macy, but if you've actually never seen the original trilogy of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War for the Planet of the Apes, I highly suggest you watch it before this one so you can kind of understand what happened. But also, that's one of the best trilogies that has ever came across Hollywood. Each movie got progressively better. The animation, the way they used the digital, whatever that is, for humans to portray the apes, it was great. The story was amazing. The acting was great. Everything about it was just phenomenal. So that's actually going to be another video I'm going to do, is I'm going to be ranking my favorite franchise movies. So that'll probably be on there. My guess is probably in the top 10. This next one, it comes from the world of John Wick. It is going to be titled Ballerina. A young female assassin who is going to be portrayed by Ana de Armas as Eve. She seeks revenge against the people who killed her family. You're going to have John Wick, Sharon Winston, and the director reprise their roles. Always excited about the John Wick movies coming out. The fourth one was definitely amazing and a fantastic... if I could just talk about John Wick stunts, I would be rambling on forever because it was so amazing. But anything within the world of John Wick, I'm always going to be greatly excited to see. And Chad Stahelski, who did the John Wick movies, he's actually going to be overseeing more projects for John Wick. And Overlander or something like that, Outlander, I can't remember. But he's going to be overseeing more projects, so I'm definitely excited for that. Hopefully it's just going to be a great movie. You're going to get some good character development from the original John Wick cast members with Ana de Armas, so interested to see how that's going to be intertwined in the world. Inside Out 2 is going to follow Riley in her teenage years, encountering new emotions, anxiety, embarrassment, and envy. I loved the first Inside Out. I think a lot of people did too, so I'm interested to see how the new emotions are going to work out. The only couple of things that sucks is Mindy Kaling, as discussed, and Bill Hader as Fear are not reprising their roles. They're being replaced by Eliza LaPrea and Tony Hale. Nothing wrong with them. I'm just going to be sad that, that sometimes when they recast a character in a movie, it's not going to be the same. It might take some time to adjust, but I feel like with it being animated, it'll just go pretty well. And then you got the OG Emotions coming back with their original actors, so that'll be great. Maya Hawke is Anxiety. That's the only new emotion we have for casting. So I'm excited to see it. It'll be great, and I'm so excited. This next one, Honestly, the franchise is dumb and fun and a lot of action and violence, but it's Bad Boys 4. How can I not put this on my list? You're going to have Martin Lawrence and Will Smith probably go after another drug kingpin and take down with a bunch of stylized action and violence and a lot of banter. I'm excited for it. You also got Vanessa Hudgens and Alexander Ludwig reprising their role from the last one. It's going to be a lot of fun. I enjoy the Bad Boys movies. The first two were done by Michael Bay, and number 3 and number 4 are done by, I think, either brothers or a set of friends. But it's going to be a fun time. You don't have to go see it. I'm not necessarily going to recommend it to you, but it's just going to be a big action piece, and that's what I'm there for. Now, this movie, The Bike Riders, before I get into it, this has been shopped around from production company to production company, but also has had like multiple release dates that's either been moved up or moved back. So I am kind of concerned, even though it does have a solidified company that's being released and a release date, it still could change very last minute. I'm not sure if they don't have faith in the movie or if it just had a really hard time finding an audience. So it's The Bike Riders, follows the rise of a Midwestern motorcycle club as it evolves over the course of a decade from a gathering place for local outsiders into a more sinister gang threatening the origin group's way of life. It's got Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Michael Shannon. So I'm excited for it. I heard a lot of good reviews. The trailers look really good. But like I said, the only concerns I have is just the actual release of it. I know it has a confirmed release date right now and the production company, but, sometimes it just keeps, delaying. So I hope it doesn't. I hope we can actually see it. This next one is A Quiet Place Day 1 with Alex Wolff, Lupita Nyong'o, and Joseph Quinn. Plots are kept under wrap. I believe Alex Wolff, though, one of the lead stars in this movie, said it's going to be more of a drama than horror, so I'm going to be interested to see how they do that. I thought John Krasinski with the first Quiet Place did really well, incorporating thriller, suspense, action, and the horror element into it. But this will actually be taking place on like day 1 and how everything actually happened. You kind of got an idea of that in A Quiet Place Part 2, but it wasn't actually fully in depth. So I'm definitely excited to see how they expound that world from a different perspective. This next one, I have a lot of emotions with. It's going to be an amazing Western. It's going to be actually a 2-part movie, one at the end of June and one at the end of August. This is going to be directed by Kevin Costner. And I believe, if you do not know me, I'm a big Yellowstone fan. I even have the brand tattooed on me right here. You can't see it really well. But I believe this is what ultimately led Kevin Costner and Taylor Sheridan, the creator of Yellowstone, to ultimately part ways. Just because Kevin Costner wanted to focus on this. And I'm hoping this delivers, especially in this 2-part event. It's going to be chronicles of a multifaceted 15-year span of pre- and post-Civil War expansion and the settlement of the American West. You got Kevin Costner, Jenna Malone, Sam Worthington, Sienna Miller, Will Patton, Thomas Hayden Church, and way more. Go to IMDb. Look at all these movies. Look at the cast members. It's just going to be stacked. I'm excited to see how this portrays out. There was like a 15, 20-second clip showing Kevin Costner riding on a horse, stopping, turning back, and shooting with a gun. So it's just going to be great. I'm really excited to see it. And Kevin Costner is actually a really good director, too. Open Range, if you haven't seen that, that's probably one of the better Westerns out there. Of the newer Westerns, aside from like the Clint Eastwood days and all that, like late 80s and 90s on, that's probably one of the better ones. All right, this next movie, before I actually give you the title, I want you to do a little bit of a trivia with me. The original 1996 film, this was rated PG-13 for depictions of very bad weather, one of the best movie ratings of all time. So, if you haven't already guessed, this is going to be an update to the 1996 film Twister, which centered around a pair of storm chasers who risked their lives in an attempt to test an experimental weather alert system. This is not necessarily a sequel. From a couple of rumors I read, this is going to be the daughter of Bill Paxton and Hella Hunt's character from the original film, continuing their legacy. But it's titled Twisters, so once again, I'm very excited for it. Anything with natural disasters, I'm always going to be there. My mom and my oldest sister, we love watching these disaster movies, whether it be Volcano, Dante's Peak, 2012, The Wave, The Quake, any sort of disaster movie, so I'm excited. But you have Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar-Jones, who I'm assuming are going to be the 2 main characters, but you also got Anthony Ramos and David Cornsweet, so I'm very excited for it, to say the least. This next one, I can't decide if it's my number 1 one or two. The other one is in a couple of movies that I'm going to suggest, but this one is Deadpool 3, directed by Sean Levy, who did the Night at Museum series and Free Guy. A great director. I have the confidence in him. You're going to have Wolverine, who actually is going to be joining Deadpool. I'm so excited in this installment of the Deadpool franchise. You have the original cast and supporting cast coming back from the Deadpool movies. I'm excited about that. Hugh Jackman's reprising his role as Wolverine, who originally said he was done after Logan. But if you have a chance to make a Deadpool movie with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, you have to go. You have to go for it. You have to come out of retirement for that. You also have Matthew McFadden joining the cast, which is going to be great. It is going to be interesting, though, because there are a lot of rumors on whether or not certain characters are going to come back, like Ben Affleck as Daredevil or Jennifer Gardner as Elektra. There's also been a lot of pictures and rumors about the original X-Men coming back with Wolverine, like Storm and a bunch of other of the characters. So I'm really interested to see whether or not they come back. Supposedly they are. Actually, it is highly rumored, which means that it's most likely going to happen. The first teaser is going to be shown at the Super Bowl in February, so I'm really excited to see it. Cannot wait. I'm definitely going to go see it the night of. This next one is one of Spider-Man's greatest villains. It is Kraven the Hunter. Russian immigrant Sergei Kravenov, who is going to be portrayed by Aaron Taylor Johnson. He is on a mission to prove that he is the greatest hunter in the world. His dad is going to be Russell Crowe, so I think it's going to be a great dynamic. J.C. Chandler is the director. He did Margin Call and Triple Frontier, both really good movies that I highly suggest you watch. You also have a couple of other villains, supposedly. Now, I like what they're doing, where they take a villain and kind of make him the anti-hero against other villains, so I'm going to be interested to see how they do this. You got Ariana DeBose as Calypso, Alessandro Nivola as the Rhino, Fred Hetchinger as the Chameleon. And if I remember correctly, there's a comic book series out there where Fred Hetchinger, or the Chameleon, is actually the brother of Kraven. So I'm interested to see whether or not they do that. This is rated R, though. I'm finally glad Sony is listening to the fans. We need a rated R Kraven the Hunter. We need rated R Spider-Man villains. Honestly, we need rated R Spider-Man's movies because it's the violence that really makes it, how brutal and really gruesome it is. We got a little bit of a peek in that in No Way Home with all three Spider-Man, but we didn't get like the full potential. So I'm just excited to see it. This next one is actually kind of a funny thing. The director, John Watts, who actually did the MCU Spider-Man, is directing a movie with Brad Pitt and George Clooney titled Wolves. They are going to be two lone wolf fixers who are assigned to the same job. We don't know much about it. There's only been like one or two set pictures, but anything with Brad Pitt and George Clooney, I'm there for, especially after the Ocean franchise. They're great friends, great actors. They have such great chemistry, so I'm definitely excited, and I'm there for that one. When I was talking about Deadpool 3, I couldn't decide if this was going to be my number 1 or 2 movie. This is the other one. Back in 2018, when this movie came out, it took me for a ride in every emotion possible. I loved it. I hated it. It was amazing. The cinematography was phenomenal. The music was inspiring. The story was absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't already guessed, this is going to be Joker Folie à Deux. Now, Folie à Deux actually means, in French, a shared psychosis. And who would be crazy enough to be in partnership with Joker? You guessed it. That would be Harley Quinn, who is going to be portrayed by Lady Gaga. So, very excited for it. Supposedly, it's going to be a musical. That's essentially what I've heard about it. Now, with Lady Gaga, I can definitely see that, so I'm very excited to see how they portray the musical versus the actual story. We don't really know the plot, but the only thing I am concerned about is the director, Todd Phillips. He does not have a good track record with sequels, so I'm going to be interested to see how it actually goes. But you actually have Brendan Gleeson and Catherine Keener joining the cast, and I think those are two great people to actually have in this movie for what they can provide. Next one up is going to be Venom 3. Now, the logo just dropped a week or two ago. Supposedly, the red in the number 3 is going to suggest that the villain is going to be Toxin. If you don't really know who that is, I don't want to give you a big spiel, just look it up. But I'm excited for Venom 3. I enjoyed the first Venom. I kind of wish they put more action over comedy. The second movie, Let There Be Carnage, I honestly did not like. It was in my bottom 10 movies of that year. But I enjoyed the interaction actually between Venom and Carnage, so hopefully they can actually give us a more brutal story. Supposedly, Tom Hardy signed on for a couple more movies as Venom, but I don't know if that's going to be in the MCU world or a separate franchise, so I guess we'll never know. Or I guess we will know just in the future. Now, as I'm filming this, I actually got a notification about 20 minutes ago that this movie just finished wrapping today. It is Gladiator 2, once again directed by Ridley Scott, who did the first. He's well known for the Alien franchise and The Martian. This is going to follow Lucius, the son of Maximus's love, Lucilla, after Maximus's death. You're going to have Denzel Washington, Connie Nelson, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn. Starring as Lucius is Paul Mescal. I think that's a great casting. He's been in a lot of good stuff, so I'm excited for it. Hope it's, again, once brutal. So I definitely think it'll be a great movie. And the last couple of Ridley Scott's movies haven't been the greatest, but I have faith in this one that it'll put him back on the right track. Now this one, let me voice my concerns at the end, but I'm very excited for it. Wicked Part 1, directed by John M. Chu, who did In the Heights and Crazy Rich Asians. Honestly, he's the perfect director for this. He does music with characterization really well. He has a great style of directing, very influencing, very, in your face, colorful, so I'm very excited for it. This is the story of how a green-skinned woman framed by the Wizard of Oz becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. This is going to be the first of a two-part feature film adaptation of the Broadway musical. This releases at the end of November. The next one releases mid-next year, I believe, or at the end of next year. You have Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. She's going to do great. I'm so excited for her. She's got a great voice. She can actually sort of rival Idina Menzel in how she did it, so I'm interested to see how her take is. You also have Jonathan Bailey, Michelle Yeoh, and Jeff Goldblum joining the cast. Now, this is where I told you I have the concerns, and I'm telling you now. Ariana Grande is starring as Glinda. I think that is a horrible choice. Don't get me wrong, Ariana Grande, great singer. Her acting can be very, it can be desired. But they're going with what the fans want. Actually make the casting choice that we deserve. Granted, I have like 5 or 6 actresses that I would prefer over her. I'm not going to name them right now because I just want to, whenever the trailer drops, I'll do a trailer reaction to see how it works. But it's just, in my opinion, it's not right. And that's actually making me kind of infuriated because they're just going for a small, dainty, great singer, and that's Ariana Grande, like Kristen Chenoweth. So, share your comments about what you think. I'm not going to actually say anything else until I see a teaser trailer, so hopefully I'm going to be proved wrong, and I hope I do. Alright, this last one of this first section, I know it's been a long time. It's Nosferatu, directed by Robert Eggers, a remake of the 1920s movie. A gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and the terrifying vampire infatuated with her, causing untold horror in its wake. Count Orlok is going to be portrayed as Bill Skarsgård, and from what I've heard, he looks unrecognizable in the makeup. You got Willem Dafoe, Nicholas Hoult, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and Lily Rose Depp. It's going to be great. Robert Eggers is definitely the right man to portray it. He did The Northman, The Lighthouse, The Witch, all great movies, so I highly recommend it. It's probably going to be one of the best horror movies of this year. Sorry for the sudden change in video. My phone was dying and my microphone died, so I need to do better preparation. But real quick, before I end this video and tell you about the last 2 sections, please let me know in the comments below. I know I tend to talk fast when I get very passionate and very into things, so if that works for you, great. If not, just let me know some suggestions on how I can improve. So to end it, these are films that I'm excited about that don't have a release date. We've got The Crow with Bill Skarsgård, The Movie Critic with Quentin Tarantino, starring Paul Walter Hauser, who this is supposedly Quentin Tarantino's 10th and final film. Hope it's a blast. I actually really enjoy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I keep loving it more and more, which was his last film. A Hitman, starring Glenn Powell, who is a professor moonlighting as a hitman of sorts for his city police department, who descends into a dangerous, dubious territory when he finds out he's attracted to a woman who enlists his service. Glenn Powell is a great actor. He definitely deserves a lot of credit. I know he got really popular because of his portrayal in Top Gun Maverick, but I'm finally glad seeing he's getting what he deserves. Supposedly this was a big hit in the film festivals last year, so I'm very excited to see it. Haven't seen a trailer or anything else, but just from that alone, I'm excited. And then the last one is Mickey 17, directed by Bong Joon-ho from Parasite. This originally had an April release, but got delayed indefinitely because of what happened to one of the main actors in Parasite. I'm not going to tell you what happened, but if you want to look it up, that's why it was pulled. So hopefully everything gets resolved and he can put it back on the release date. And then the last section is I'm just worried and nervous for these movies. You got The Fall Guy starring Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Red One starring Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons, and Bonnie Hunt. I feel like these two movies are just going to be a big action piece that are a cash grab. A lot of people are going to rewatch it. It's just going to be a big action film, not a lot of characterization, not a lot of things to enjoy about the movie other than the action. But I really hope that changes my mind. It's been in development for a while. We saw a trailer for The Fall Guy, which looks fun, but it just looks like a lot of standard action movies these days that are, 2 hours and they don't have a lot of intense characterization or elements about it. Just, that big, grand final action piece. So hopefully I'm proved wrong. I am excited about in Red One, though. You got J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus and Bonnie Hunt as Mrs. Claus. I think that's actually a perfect casting. You have Alien Romulus, which is being directed by Fede Alvarez, who's honestly a meh director. He did do Don't Breathe, which was a really good horror movie, which is underrated in my opinion. But I know during that movie, a lot of studios were involved. But I feel like this needs to reboot the Alien franchise because the last couple were okay. But it's just the director I'm worried about, so maybe I'm going to be proven wrong. And then the last one, you have Borderlands. If you've never heard of it, it's a video game franchise. It's great, stylized, action, violent, brutal. Honestly, we have a really good director for it, Eli Roth. He's a really good horror director who can give us that brutal, violent sort of set pieces and stylized action that we need. You have Jamie Lee Curtis as Tannis, Kate Blanchett as Lilith. Both great actresses, both great choices. But you have Edgar Ramirez as Atlas. I just think Edgar Ramirez is not that good of an actor. I haven't seen him in a lot of movies recently where he's been that good. Kevin Hart as Roland. I'll say it. Kevin Hart is not a good actor. He just lets his comedy flow. Great comedian, don't get me wrong. But he lets his comedy flow. He lets his improvisation flow. He's not a good actor. And you know what? People might like him, but I think they like him for the comedy and not his acting. That's just my opinion. And then you have Blackjack as Claptrap. I just think you could do a better voice actor for it. Don't get me wrong. He's a good voice actor and a good actor. And I just think, I don't know, we could get somebody better. But sorry for the quick wrap up. I just want to get this done before my phone dies. And please like, subscribe, and comment. Share with your friends and family. I definitely want to get more subscribers and more videos. I want to, eventually make this a side job. So definitely support it. I really do appreciate all the support on my first video. I know this was kind of a long video for my second video, but I got some great movies that I need to review. And honestly, what I want to do is when a movie comes out I'm excited about, I'll do a review for it. That way you can go watch it. Give me your opinions. But once again, like, subscribe, comment. Tell somebody you love them. We're in this world these days where it's kind of getting cataclysmic, but at the same time, if we just focus on things that we love and like doing, we can grow a really good, tight-knit community, and I really think that's needed, especially these days. But I appreciate the support once again. Like, subscribe, and comment, and I hope you all have a great one.